Hello. Good evening. Welcome to the Big Adventure event. And I'm Julia Minamata, and I am the game dev behind the Crimson Diamond. It's good to see people here. Awesome. I nearly started on time today. Uh, I usually stream on Twitch. On the sidebar, you can see I stream A_Maple Mystery on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern, and this is the closest I think I've ever started on time. So that's not great, but you know, not bad for me. Happy Crimson Thursday, I suppose, and thanks for coming. And yeah, thanks to HitSense for presenting all this, and Jordan Taylor in particular for hosting this awesome event. I took a peek into some of the other streams and stuff earlier on, and it's heartening to see so many developers working on so many awesome games that just look amazing, and I'm glad to be a part of it. And I mentioned on the chat just now, I'm following the chat on a separate little iPad, and I'm gonna try to follow it as much as I can, but there's like a 20-second delay. Dan and I, we tested the stream a couple days ago, and there's about a 20-second delay, so if I'm really slow, I apologize, but we'll do the best that we can today. So let's get started. I'm gonna go for probably about an hour. We'll see how it goes. Might go a bit longer depending on how quickly I get through things. I tend to get through things pretty quick. But first, I'm going to introduce myself. Mousimus, good to see you. Good to see a familiar face. My name is Julia Minamata. I'm the solo indie game dev behind the Crimson Diamond. It is a mystery text parser adventure game set in Canada. I'm also set in Canada. And I mentioned Dan. Dan is the musician working on the game, so it's a two-person team pretty much. And we do stream. I stream game art dev, and Dan streams live music composition on Tuesdays as well. So we kind of alternate weeks where we do that. And we have a lot of fun doing that. The Crimson Diamond, currently there is a demo available, of course, for the event, and it's been available for quite some time, so don't worry about missing it. If you want to check it out sometime after the event, it's going to be up forever. And I'm hoping to launch the final game this year, late this year, hopefully. The game is 7 chapters, and the demo represents the first chapter. So it kind of will give you a rough idea how long the game will be, times 7. Although some of the chapters are longer than others. I guess chapter 1 is kind of on the shorter side. But I'm currently in development. I'm working on the 4th chapter. I am about 60% finished the 4th chapter of 7. Pauladan00. So speaking of Dan, Pauladan in chat is Dan Polakar, who is the musician for the Crimson Diamond. And I've got a little slideshow prepared to kind of show some preliminary work that I haven't showed before, actually, and show who Dan is and what Dan's about. Deluxe Tux, good to see you. The gang's all here. Chronodin, Jude Gore, awesome, good to see you. Good to see so many familiar faces. I'm super pleased. You never know how these things are gonna go. But first of all, let me look at my notes here. First thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just quickly show the trailer for anyone who hasn't seen the trailer yet. And then what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into some of the work preliminary work and stuff like that. So let me turn off the music and let's get into the trailer. And this trailer actually was edited by Dan. So we actually cut this trailer live on stream at one point. And there is a YouTube channel, Julia Minamata, where all the streams are put up as videos on demand. So if anyone ever wants to go back and see those, absolutely welcome to. So let's roll the trailer.
Crimson, Ontario was once a prosperous, lively mining town. But that was a long time ago. Now it's quiet, nearly deserted, and some folks aim to keep it that way. Nancy Maple is an aspiring mineralogist assigned to follow the trail of a dazzling diamond. An intriguing cast of characters has converged under one roof, each meaning to get their own way. Or else. Will Nancy untangle the mysteries and machinations before it's too late? Will the sleepy town of Crimson shine once more? Find out in The Crimson Diamond, an upcoming adventure game by Julia Minamata. The Crimson Diamond demo is available on Steam and itch.io for Windows PC and macOS.
Okay, I kind of get this sneaking suspicion that that had no audio whatsoever, but you get the idea. It's a text parser game, so you kind of type in open door to open door, etc. Yeah, Crimson Thursday does not have the same ring as Crimson Tuesday, but yeah, so that's the trailer, and I'm gonna pop up the slideshow that I was mentioning, just going over some of the preliminary work here. And hello, Chihuahua, by the way. Hi, Chihuahua. Hi, Togamario. Tyler from Space Venture and CGG Community. Good to see you. Oh, thank goodness it had audio. Okay. Oh my gosh. I was certain that that wasn't going to work. That's actually one thing that Dan and I forgot to test the other night, so I'm super relieved. Okay, so here's some preliminary work for the Crimson Diamond. This is the one and only time I think I ever sketched Nancy with paper, pencil and paper. It was very early on, and you see she really hasn't changed very much. Hey, Conanton, thank you very much. You liking how the game's looking? And you've watched the trailer before? Yeah, I figured I'd let that play out. Because I wanted to have some kind of element of video or something. I don't really have anything else. But yeah, so this is a Nancy preliminary kind of look at her. This was ages ago, but yeah, like I said, she really hasn't changed very much. Oh, we did test the trailer, Dan? Well, my memory is a little worrying right now. Terrible memory. Here is one of the first, this might be the first piece of pixel art I ever did. I'm sorry that it's blurry, but I actually can't find it anywhere. I'm sure I've got it somewhere. Yes, the best, yeah, Deluxe Tux, the best medium for sketching her would be grid paper. Yeah, so this is, so the first piece I ever did of her was actually VGA, not EGA. I'm actually, Heavy777, thank you for the follow. Actually, can I put myself, you know what, I'm gonna just put myself off in the corner or something, because why not? It's kind of, oh no, okay, let's do that. Just temporarily, let's do that, okay. Yeah, so this is the first piece of pixel art I ever did of Nancy, character portrait, and I liked it well enough, but I have to say that when I actually ended up putting her, I forced her into a limited color palette, and I already liked it better as soon as I saw this. And when I saw this, I kind of started thinking, maybe I want to explore a limited color palette a little bit further. And here I actually did some views of a VGA Nancy, so that it's a little bit strange. But her outfit really hasn't changed that much since these preliminary sketches. And here we have the first room I ever made in pixel art. And it's an EGA room. I never attempted a VGA room. I think when I saw the Nancy portrait limited color palette, it clicked in my head that I did want to try EGA, because I've always loved EGA. I've loved the color palette so much that I looked at the Colonel's Bequest for visual reference, because it's got a beautiful house with really moody lighting, all done in EGA. But the problem with this piece, and I mentioned it before in other presentations and stuff, but I made the Nancy Maple sprite last. And so all the furniture was all out of proportion and stuff. So this room never made it actually into the game. Oh, cool, the Heavy, thanks. You love the project and you saw the adventure hashtag on Twitter. Sweet. Yeah, I love this style so much too. I mean, this is kind of my happy place. This is my childhood and all that fun stuff that goes along with that, when you could kind of really focus in on games and not have anything else to think about. So yeah, I know I'm not alone in that. I know a lot of game devs have the same memories, maybe not of old Sierra games, but certainly of many other types of games. Here is the second room I ever made in pixel art, and this is in the game. This is the kitchen. And I was able to, using the Nancy Maple sprite as reference, I was able to kind of keep everything in proportion. And even though she is kind of petite, even in her world, everything is vaguely reachable, even the higher cupboards. Yeah, Mouse is streaming on Steam. Yeah, I tried this once before, actually. I was in the Steam Summer Games Festival last year, and I tried using Restream, so I tried to simultaneously stream on Twitch and on Steam at the same time, and the Steam one was not having it. It was super laggy, like even laggier than this. So this time I decided to just really super simplify it and just go directly through Steam on this one. Yes, nostalgia is a heck of a drug. And that's why you're working with the two guys. Yeah, Space Quest was your jam? Yeah, Space Quest. My neighbor had the Space Quest games. I feel like we had an unspoken agreement that he would get the Space Quest games and I would get the King's Quest games, and we would kind of share them. Marcus, thank you for coming. Good to see you. Oh, this is the first time you've played something in this retro genre? Oh, that's good to know. I kind of have I kind of get really hopeful when I hear people say that, because when I first started making the game, I thought this would be, first of all, I didn't think I was making a game. I just thought I was making a project for myself, like a little hobby. But then when I first showed it publicly in the fall of 2018, I was pleasantly surprised, not just by people who were nostalgic for the style, but people like kids even liked it. 10-year-olds. There's a special kind of 8 to 12-year-old that gets really entranced by this still. So I felt like as a kid, that doesn't change, So that was nice to know. I mean, I never thought that it would be something that would appeal to kids, but hey, it did to me when I was young, so I don't know why I was so surprised. Yeah, so no puzzles where we need a stepladder or something. Yeah, that's my pet peeve. I most of the shelves in a kitchen I can't really reach without a stepladder. Okay, so next. So here is Adventure Game Studio. This is what I use to build the game. And it's a wonderful tool. If anyone is interested in making adventure games, this is definitely purposely built for this. And for me, I started out as an artist first and learned programming later. So this was wonderful. I mean, I don't want to mess around with this too much, but you can see the interior, everything is organized in rooms, and all the assets they're organized in rooms and characters and all that type of thing. So it was perfect for me just learning. And if you've watched any of the other streams today for the Big Adventure event, you've probably seen other games that are also built in Adventure Game Studio. Francisco Gonzalez, of course, is making Rosewater with AGS, and Sean Aitchison is making how do I say it? He made Sumatra Fate of Yandi. So Sean Aitchison made Sumatra Fate of Yandi and a game that I can't pronounce, Incantatum, I believe, something like that, which is also Adventure Game Studio. And Unavowed, of course, with Dave Gilbert is also Adventure Game Studio. There are a lot of really wonderful games that are made in this engine that are commercially available. Kathy Rain too. Deluxe Talk, somebody has played, I don't know about playing the demo on a CRT, but Lazy Game Reviewer, I had a piece of Halloween pixel art that was Sierra themed, and he loaded it up on an old CRT monitor, and it looked fantastic. So that has happened. Oh, Cronodin says, there's such a fascinating resurgence in retro pixel art, and I'm loving the heck out of it. Oh, thank you. Saying Crimson Diamond is unique, that it's emulating style. Yeah, I love, I don't know, there's something about Dithering. I have this whole presentation on my YouTube channel that I gave, a 45-minute presentation about pixel art, and then I go into Dithering and how much I love it and why I love it. And yeah, I think it's an incredible tool for using EGA. And it's part of the reason I love it so much, and why I kind of look to it as my example of what the retro style that I like to go for. Yes, Togomaru, you'll have Sumatra Fate of Yandi. Cool. Yeah, I met Sean at Adventure X in 2019. Yeah, really cool guy. Yes, you can film around the demo on your CRT, Dan. Next we have, so here is some, this is some process work. When I stream on Tuesdays at _Maple Mystery, I've been kind of redoing a lot of the intro art. So if you play the demo now, the intro, if you select a new game, you get sent through this whole introductory sequence that kind of gives a bit of a prologue to before you can actually start the game proper. And all that stuff is very rough art, very like MS Paint looking rough art. And what I've been doing on my game art streams is I've been trying to polish it up to so it will look like the rest of the game art. And this piece is one that we were working on for a number of months. We did other stuff too, but for a number of months, and to get it to this point. And it's still not quite finished yet, but I'm going to finish it by myself and put it in the game when I can. Yeah, Deluxe Stock, Sean and Cloak and Dagger are coolest. Yeah, and you support them on Patreon. Awesome. Yeah, really cool. Yeah, AGS community, Adventure Game Studio community is amazing. So I can't recommend it enough. So not only for the engine, but for the people that use the engine. It's really cool. So this is one I don't think I've ever shared. This is the boudoir, which might have been the second room that I made for the Crimson Diamond. The one on the right-hand side is the one that's in the game. The one on the left is a preliminary. So a lot of the elements I've reused. Of course, the dressing screen is the same. The mannequin with the brass top on it is just mirrored, but the room used to be a lot bigger. And this was because I was still trying to figure out what the layout of the house was going to be. So I thought this room was going to be gigantic, and I ended up making it like a half-size room. So you can see it used to have a lot more windows and more wallpaper, etc. Yeah, Paula Dan says, yeah, the entire Aegis community not only appreciates and loves the support, we need it. It's a wonderful place, and actually, I keep saying this, but Francisco was one of my major sources of inspiration for starting this project. You know, I watched Let's Plays of the Ben Jordan games. I played them myself. Oh, looks like the stream went down. Uh-oh. Hopefully it will come back up. If it's, uh-oh. Maybe just refresh. Okay. I don't know what happened. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so just me. I just had a bit of a hiccup on this end. Okay, that's fine. So you might notice in this screenshot that there is on the table wine, 2 champagne glasses and bottle and roses, and that's actually not in the game. I was thinking of the Colonel's Bequest with Fifi and Jeeves and their little scene that they have, but it's not actually something that happens in the game, so that's not included anymore. Okay, good. I'm so glad you guys. Okay. Whew. Okay. Good, good, good. Okay. No interruptions. Okay, that's a relief. Okay, good. Good, good, good. Okay, next. This one is one that had a way bigger difference in it. So we have here on the left, we have the preliminary for the Conservatory. One of my sources of inspiration for the rooms that I included in the game was Clue, or Cluedo, as you know, as it's known in Europe. Yeah. And so conservatory, kitchen, parlor. I don't have a drawing room. But anyway, I just like having genres of rooms that people don't necessarily have anymore. But yeah, the first one I did was this left-hand side one. And I liked having all the plants and stuff in it, but I felt like it didn't, I think what happened was I decided the conservatory was going to be at the end of a long hallway. And so it didn't work in terms of what direction I wanted the player to go. I wanted the player to go down a long hallway and then have it at the end of the hallway. So having it be facing us like this didn't really make sense to me. But I kind of kept the same shape for it, and I kind of flipped it around so that it's kind of facing the other way. Yeah, sure. Yeah, of course. And by the way, you guys, this is also Q&A. So if you have any questions at all about the development of the Crimson Diamond, please ask me for sure. So the Heavy wants to know, what resolution am I using to build the game? 320 by 200, which is the working resolution that the Sierra Adventure games were as well. And what I like about that resolution, it's a fairly low resolution, but you can see the pixels and you can see the dithering. But at the same time, you can see the effects of the dithering too. So what dithering is a checkerboard pattern of 2 colors that kind of creates the effect of a third color. But what I like about 320 by 200 resolution is you can see the effect of the third color, but you can also see the checkerboard. So in a way, you can kind of see the magic as it's happening and the magic at the same time, which is why I love this resolution. And here's some process work on the dining room. There's a dining room cutscene in the demo. And so if you complete your first objective in the demo, which is talk to everyone, then you get to go to the dining room, and there's a bit of a cutscene here that we get some more story information. And from a game design perspective, the reason I did that was I wanted the player to have a very clear idea of who you are as a character and why you are there. So even if you skip the introductory sequence and you don't know anything about what's going on, your first objective in the game is to introduce yourself to the other 8 characters in the game and say why you're there. And I figure by the 8th time you've introduced yourself, you'll have a pretty good idea of who you are as a character and what you're supposed to do overall. Cronidin wants to know, regarding the dithering, would that be like the style used in Space Quest 3 or King's Quest 4? Exactly. Cronidin, exactly. Space Quest 3, that has some really beautiful dithering. Yeah, exactly. And also King's Quest 4. King's Quest 4 had 2 versions. I think they both had dithering to various extents. But yeah, so there are earlier Sierra games that didn't have dithering, like Gold Rush and King's Quest 3, Space Quest 1, I believe, because the pixels were actually twice as wide as like a regular 1 by 1 pixel. They were actually 2 by 1, and so dithering kind of really didn't work for that resolution. Yeah, Space Quest 3 is a beautiful game, and the lighting effects that are created in Space Quest 3, the otherworldly lighting effects with EGA are kind of awesome. Yeah, this scene. So you've introduced yourself 8 times. You've now learned who you are, what you're doing there overall, and so you get these cutscenes. And I love the close-up cutscenes in the Colonel's Bequest, for instance. There aren't very many, so I'm trying to put more in the Crimson Diamond. And I thought it would be fun to kind of show how the process starts here, where it's super sketchy with the basic blocky figures, and I gradually go in and add more and more detail to them, and eventually dithering. Here is, on the left-hand side, it was how the lodge exterior looked originally, and then on the right-hand side is the lodge as it is now in game. I would originally set the Crimson Diamond instead of like the Rocky Mountains kind of area. That's why we have the mountains in the back. But I actually ended up changing it to be Northern Ontario, and one of the reasons for that is I'm from Ontario, and I kind of wanted the game to be set kind of in a place I'm more familiar with and kind of where I'm from. And another reason is a nerdier reason, which is I wanted. So this is what the game is. So the idea is there is a big diamond that's found in this area of this fictional town called Crimson, Ontario, and I wanted the town. Crimson, Ontario doesn't exist, but if it had existed, it would have been an old mining town, and the mining town kind of became a ghost town eventually. But I wanted the game to be set in a place where you could actually find diamonds in Canada, and one of the places you can actually find diamonds in Canada is Northern Ontario. And there actually is a working diamond mine in Northern Ontario, as well as like I think there's one in the Yukon too, but we do have one up in the, I think it's called the James Bay Highlands is where the diamond mine is. And so for me, I did an extra layer of believability, of plausibility, because it actually is the case where you can find diamonds. It remains to be seen if you will find diamonds in the Crimson Diamond, but it is possible. Oh, the shadow of the tree in the newer version is a fantastic detail. Oh, thank you. I love adding stuff like that. I love light and shadow in these types of things. And hopefully, I don't know if I show more screenshots, but if I don't, what I'm going to do is after this little mini slideshow, I'm going to actually play the game, but it's not the demo version. It's actually my working build. So it's got stuff in it that the current demo version doesn't have. The current demo is restricted to inside the lodge. And so you're not allowed to go anywhere else outside the lodge. But I'm hoping to take you guys outside of the lodge and see what that looks like. And I'm actually thinking of not only taking you guys outside the lodge, but there's some outbuildings. There's a garden shed, there's a smokehouse, there's a boathouse, and there's a carriage house. And I might actually take you guys inside those buildings, which I haven't really done. I've been pretty careful about not showing all the artwork in the game. But I figure if this is a special occasion, I've shown the interior of some of those buildings, but I feel like it'd be fun to show you guys some of the interiors that haven't been seen yet. All right, and Chekhov's loop. Oh yeah, the characters, well, we'll talk about that in a bit. Maybe I'll talk about what the character starts with in terms of her inventory at the very beginning. Hey J Parks, thank you for looking forward to the game. What era does it take place in? The game takes place in about 1914, like so the summer of 1914. So one of the reasons for that is I love old timiness. It's just in a way, people always say that it's easier to write a mystery when you don't have cell phones and stuff like that. So that's part of it, I think. I just think there's also charm. When I was building the house, I kind of gravitated toward Art Nouveau, verging into Art Deco, but Art Nouveau styling. So in the lodge, there are some posters that are Art Nouveau, and the furniture. I kind of was looking at that furniture, but not like super extravagant furniture. But I love solid wood doors and big heavy bits of furniture, and that's kind of why and brass fittings and all the rest of it. So I kind of just went there automatically without really thinking about it. And actually, in developing the Crimson Diamond, I kind of did it backwards because I built the house first, just as a pixel art house, and then I started thinking about story ideas, and I tried to come up with a story that would match what the setting is. And so that's kind of how that all happened. The character Nancy Maple, of course, does look a lot like Laura Bow from Colonel's Bequest. Um, and that was just because, yeah, I was just not even thinking about making a game. I was just I was just saying, okay, well, I needed a sprite, so let's make a sprite and make her a redhead, because I was thinking Nancy Maple, Nancy Drew, all these characters, this archetypal, inquisitive, auburn-haired lady. But it actually really worked out, because when I actually went back to write Nancy's backstory, I realized it actually works out perfectly that she would be the child of Irish immigrants who emigrated to Canada during the potato famine. So for the background actually worked perfectly for the time period. And also, I like to think the Crimson Diamond, it could also refer to Nancy and her red hair. So, yes, everyone, check your inboxes for the NDA that I'll be showing you. Never before seen artwork today. And here, this one's weird because, okay, so the top one, I think it may have been from when the lodge was only going to be 1 story high. So what we have here, the blue background, the top middle, is an early version of a hallway. And you can see, I actually, on the bottom left and the bottom right are the in-game versions of a hallway. And so you can see that the red carpet is the same for the main floor. That is now the main floor. And the roof is the same for the top, what is now the second floor of the lodge. And so I kind of I split that up. I reused the same graphic and ended up building a second level. And here's a quick process piece of how I build the screens. And the actual, I know the old adventure games would have this draw process, not looking like this, but actually doing outlines and then doing fills and stuff, which I don't do. I use Photoshop for my artwork. Well, a mixture of a few things, actually. I use Photoshop for the most part. I've used Sprite a bit. I've been trying to learn Sprite because it's really good for pixel art and really good for animation. And I've been using Medibang Paint on iPad for when I'm on a tablet. So I've been using a few things, but mainly it's still Photoshop. I've used Photoshop for, oh my goodness, 15, 20 years by now, so I'm not about to stop anytime soon. And so here's the final, and I just wanted to go over some of the ways that the dithering and the color is used to create depth. And I know we talked about that a little bit earlier on, but yeah. So in the very back of it, you've got some silhouettes of vague shapes of trees that are blue, which kind of gives the feeling of that depth without getting too dark. And then we have the shapes of the trees. They get bigger as we come to the front, which makes them look bigger, gives it more depth. Contrast, so the bright and dark, light and dark, is more pronounced when you get to the front. And of course, we've got big trees in the very front of us to create more depth. And the very last thing I do, which you saw in the GIF is the dithering. I put the dithering in last because I kind of want the scene to work without it, but the dithering does add quite a bit. And here is a process of one of the rooms being created. And what is great about working at this resolution is it's really easy to shift things around and redo stuff. It doesn't take very long. Of course, the first room I made took a lot of time. The kitchen also took a lot of time. But of course, as with anything, the more you do, the faster you get with it. And it's been really cool to just learn it. And I have nothing but admiration for the artists back in the day, like Doug Herring, who's the artist for the Crimson Diamond. Oh my God, Doug Herring, the artist for the Colonel's Bequest, and Mark Ferrari. All these guys who really blazed the trail and were inventing a lot of the tech as they were going, and had nothing to look to. Like, I had so much EGA art to look to when I started building this game, and they had nothing, And so for them to create something from, nothing before, and just building from scratch, I'm totally amazed. Yeah, Doug Herring is awesome. I got to meet him actually at a PAX West. Oh yeah, so Togamari wants to know about the dithering. I use Photoshop. So what I do, no, I don't do pixel punching with the mouse and styles. I do that a little bit, like just manually go boop, 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 boop. That does happen. But for these big areas, I actually use layer mask. And so I'll have a layer mask that is alternating color and transparent. And the layer masks in Photoshop are great because you can just go paint in and paint out as you want. And there's no real problem. It's really easy to just shift stuff around and have it cover a lot of area without having to, just get in there and just punch them all out by hand. Oh, good, Togabar, you met him at the same event. He's really cool. He's worked on a lot of really awesome stuff. He not only did he do Colonel's Bequest, he worked on Quest for Glory 2. He actually painted the box art for Manhunter 2, which is really cool. And he also worked on Conquest of Camelot. And after all the Sierra stuff, he continued to do really cool work. Yeah, the layer masking, it's the reason I keep going back to Photoshop, because Medibang Paint has layer masking, but it's a different thing. It doesn't work the same. So Photoshop is my go-to for at least that last step. And I mentioned I didn't actually remember what I put in this little slide thing, but yeah, I use Adobe Photoshop CS2. I have an 8-year-old laptop. Well, it's not even a laptop; it's a tablet PC. I have a Microsoft Surface Pro 2, which I've been using to develop the game in every aspect, which works fine for me. It gets a little bit tricky when I'm doing streaming stuff like this, but I use Photoshop CS2 because I bought it my parents bought it for me in college, and I've never really needed anything else. Francisco Gonzalez is also part of the CS2 club. I know we're not the only ones. There are plenty of people who still use CS2, but it's great because I have Windows 8 on this machine, and I need something that's just gonna work, and not be particularly heavy on the machine either. Yeah, it's a perpetual license at that point. Yeah. So I'm perfectly happy with it. I used Photoshop when in freelance illustration as well, and I've never needed anything else. I've never felt I was missing anything. Oh, Togamar, you pay $50 a month for Adobe Creative Cloud. Yeah, it's expensive. Although if you just want Photoshop, you can get it much cheaper, but it's still expensive. I mean, if I was to think I was going to be paying, because I use Illustrator too. I do some graphic design work, so I use Photoshop and I use Illustrator quite a lot. And just the idea of how much money I would have spent in the in the interim between college and now, I don't even want to think about it really. And I don't need the service. Like, I don't need the constant upgrading. I'm perfectly happy with it as it is. Next is Ace Bride, which I talked about. Yeah, I love it. It has some features that Photoshop doesn't have, at least Photoshop CS2 doesn't have. And Medibang Paint is a free app for iPad, which I used the free app for a long time, but I think you can do a paid version that removes the ads. And it can export to Photoshop file, which is really handy. And you can do layers, you can build your own palettes, as you can see from the screenshot. So that's something I really like too. Yeah, Kona, didn't you have the smallest subscription for Photoshop? Yeah. And yet you missed just buying everything? Yes. I am, you won't be seeing any subscription service for the Crimson Diamond. No, I don't think there'll be any DLC or skins or anything like that. That would be funny though. I was thinking about doing that once for an April Fool's joke. I never got around to it, but saying DLC Nancy skin pack or whatever. And this is the Dan section. I don't know if Dan is still here in chat, but I mentioned I'm working on this solo indie dev, but I do have Dan Polakar on the team as well, and Dan is doing the music for the game. Yeah, MMO, Crimson Diamond MMO, different hats. Yes. Yeah, it's going to be published by Electronic Arts. It won't be. It's going to be self-published, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, so what Dan's been using for the music is this beautiful machine here, the Roland MT32, which working on this game gave him an excellent excuse to buy one. Good, he's here. Yeah. So Dan has been using this. So this is what Dan uses on stream live when we compose stuff. And so what's been happening now is, because we're getting into parts of the game that haven't been seen yet, I have to give him really well Dan and I separately. So I'll tell him the specifics of exactly what I'm looking for, but on stream we have to be really careful about what we're saying. So last music stream, I said I want a piece of sad music, that's really sad and mournful, and we can't say anything else, but we're just trying to use vague adjectives, like we're playing like that board game Taboo or something. But we actually. He works really quick, so we actually get a lot done. But we have to be pretty vague. But the outcome has been really good so far. Yeah, open door. Please watch this 30-second ad to get the key. Okay, so here's Dan. Dan, I put some of you in this slideshow. So here's Dan. So Dan is the guy on the far right here. That's his head. He looks like he's floating, but I think there's somebody standing in front of him. And so Dan is before the current situation, he was a touring musician. He teaches music classes online now, and he's a music composer. He worked on Empire of Sin for the music for that. So please check out Empire of Sin to listen to some of Dan's awesome tunes. And the guy in the middle there is Sean Paul, because that's who Dan would tour with all over the world, and that's who Dan got his Grammy nomination with. So Dan, yeah, go Dan, exactly. Dan, if you ask him nicely, will show you his Grammy nomination on stream. I just told them that you would do that, Dan. I don't know if you will, but it's got to be around somewhere, right? But yeah, so here's Dan, and then there's the Bada Bands, which is the band that plays with Sean Paul. And Dan is a keyboardist, which is perfect because he can use these synths. He knows all the technical aspects on how to get the Roland MT32 working, which I'm so lucky. I'm really fortunate actually that he is that nerdy, and he loves adventure games even more than I do. I always tell Dan it's not fair. It's not fair because Dan is simultaneously cooler and nerdier than I am. It's not fair. Yeah, he's a guitarist. Yeah, so this is perfect. So yeah, Dan, with all his synths and everything, yeah. So he's been, super instrumental, pardon the pun, in getting the sound of the Crimson Diamond working. And if you do play the demo, you'll listen to 3 original tracks that Dan has composed, including the theme song, which was what you hear on launch. And it's probably still my favorite piece that he's done. There he is again. Go Dan. And there's the last one. So this is the one you'll see on his website. I think, is it dantheband.com or something, Dan? But yeah. So I'm super fortunate that Dan's on board to do the music for this. Moving on. So that's the being nice to Dan part of the presentation. Usually a stream would be Dan rambling about Transformers or some kind of obscure music thing that he's talking about with people in chat that I don't understand. And there's a small portion of the stream that actually is us working. And I try to keep getting us on track, but it's fun. It's fun times. And yeah, so I mentioned we stream on Twitch. _Maple Mystery is my channel. And so even when Dan streams, I tend to do like a pre-stream that's about half an hour long or so before Dan streams. Then we raid Dan's channel. Dan is at Dan the Band Music on Twitch. And usually what I do before, so every week I'll start with an 8 o'clock Eastern stream. And I'll give some dev updates. I'll show whatever cool stuff I happen to have remembered to show. And then we'll get into either game art, which is what I showed you guys, the process work for the intro stuff, or we'll do some live composition. And yeah, also Julia Minamata on YouTube is where all the VODs get put up. And so yeah, if you look at these thumbnails, so there are some times where I actually do like EGA demakes of stuff. So occasionally, if I feel like I need a break from doing the introduction art upgrading. So on the far left, you can see there's a Hades piece I was working on that is still not finished. I started an EGA demake of a Hades promo piece. And I'm really loving it because it's actually surprisingly easy to convert Hades into EGA art. But another one I did recently was trying to convert Cyberpunk 2077 into CGA art. So that's another one that's on there. But I mean, there's so much left to go on those. I don't know if I'll ever revisit them. It's just fun to get them started and kind of let my imagination paint in the rest. Togamara wants to know, am I going to do a little for fun PDF manual that asks users to enter a value on page 3, paragraph 2, sentence 4, word 5? That the old DRM, the old-fashioned way. I actually do have a manual for the Crimson Diamonds that I started. I need to update it, but it does exist. And I think if you go to the Steam page, you can download the manual, but it's like super old. But I did I made like little pictures of keys to show, okay, well, how do you move the character? And I showed the arrow keys and stuff like that. So I tried to make it look like the old manuals did. And I do want to have one for sure, because there's something really fun about that. And oh yeah, and so this is me on Twitter. So if you're interested in following me on Twitter, at Julia Minamata is kind of my personal one, which I'll post pretty much only game stuff and occasionally like other stuff, which usually is I'll retweet Japanese mascots that I think are cute, or I don't know. I'm not really that active on Twitter, but yeah, that's my personal Twitter. But I also have a Crimson Diamond at the Crimson Diam one, which as you can see on the screen there, that is just game stuff. So if you're one of the people on Twitter that is really, you want to curate your Twitter feed and just have specifically, I want this Twitter to be nothing but that thing, then that's the one you want to follow. But at Julia Minamata is like my main. And what else? Oh yeah, I just wanted to show this because I thought it was really cool. I do have a Society 6 page where you can buy like mugs and T-shirts and stuff. But I like this. This is a credenza that has the cupboard art that is in the game in the kitchen, and I just really appreciated the fact that I could actually ever get it on an actual credenza. Not that I think anyone's ever ordered it. I don't even think they ship these to Canada yet, but I just enjoy this so much. And here's another fun thing. I also do cross stitching, which is pretty natural for low resolution pixel art to actually be converted to. And I'm not the only one. I've actually seen on Facebook and Twitter people doing like these beautiful cross stitches of the Colonel's Bequest art. So I wanted to really try that myself, and it's been a lot of fun actually. You guys are just making up trivia questions you can ask to test people's ages. It would be actually stuff that would be, well, I mean, actually, it wouldn't be like a trivia question to test people's ages, I guess, because the game is kind of for all ages. And here's something that my mom has been working on, is this beautiful Nancy Maple Sprite quilt, patchwork quilt, which is another great way to kind of take advantage of the low resolution of the artwork. But yeah, props to my mom, and I can't wait. When in-person events are a thing again, I'm really looking forward to being able to have this hung up by my table, as I think it's so perfect because the Crimson Diamond is a cozy mystery game, and there's nothing cozier than a quilt made by your mom. And that's that. Okay, so let me check my notes. Okay, play. Okay, Q&A. Okay, so we're gonna get into the game proper, I think. So let's move over to that. Okay, great. So, I am going to, and if anyone would like to tell me if the sound is too loud or too quiet or whatever, just let me know. We can easily adjust that. But here it is. And so what I wanted to show people is, and this, there's a tutorial room, and the reason there's a tutorial room is, yeah, the first time I showed this game, I realized, yeah, people don't know how to play this type of game. This type of game, text parser game, hasn't really been seen for, I don't know, 30 years. So how can I expect people to know how to play a text parser game? And so I made a tutorial room to walk players through step by step how to play a text parser game. And that's basically what this is all saying. I'm not going to read this out, but I mean, if you can read it out yourself if you ever want to. But yeah, follow the text prompts and then just go through the tutorial. These are just basic commands to, these won't get you all the way through the game. You kind of have to be a bit more creative sometimes. But this will get you the basic idea. And this piece of music that you're listening to right now is a Dan Polakar original. This is the Crimson Diamond theme music. So we're gonna try typing in look. I'm glad you like the fish on the title screen. I love stuff like that. So type in look, and the game will tell you about the room that you're in. So salient features: cupboard, green door, and also who is in the room. So we'll give the names of people that you actually meet. And Jack is here. And also, I try to make the text parser as easy to use as possible, because it's tricky. It's a tricky thing to use. I understand that. So I try to make this as user-friendly as possible while realizing that text parser is inherently not user-friendly, potentially. But let's take a look at Jack. Oh, the font as well. I designed the font Although I think I'll be giving it some minor adjustments. I got some really great feedback on the font, but I did want to. It's hard at this resolution to do a nice font. I also wanted to still give it kind of an old-timey character. But yeah, all these things can be changed. Oh, thanks, Krona. Didn't you like the moving lips on the characters and it's a good speed? I'm glad. Okay, so this is just the initial appearance of the character, which you only get the first time you look at the character. And then in subsequent times you look at the character, they'll tell you what that character is currently doing. Oh yes, and there are parser shortcuts, so we will talk about the deluxe tux for sure. And I kind of implemented those because yeah, there was someone that did email me with feedback saying that people who have, you know, like dexterity issues and motor control issues would have trouble with the text parser, of course. So I tried to shorten up a lot of the most commonly used commands. Yeah. Oh, I'm glad, Marcus. I'm glad you like the tutorial. Yeah, it's something I really want people who've never played a text parser game to feel comfortable playing one and to learn how to play it, because for me, this type of game is so rewarding, because when I've watched people play it at events and they type something in and they try it and something happens, that delight that I see on their faces it's just so special. And so yeah, I want people to have that experience with these games. Oh, Selen Spud, thank you for coming. I'm glad you love the EGA style art. Yeah, I'm really into it, and I wish I could. There's some pieces that I have that I wish I could show, but I've made like polymer clay EGA color beads. I do the cross stitching. I've bought, seed beads in all the different colors. So I wanted to get the right colors because I want to eventually use a bead loom and make a Nancy Maple woven bead bracelet or something. I'm all about it. Okay, so let's try talking to Jack. All right. You can ask Jack about stuff. So asking people about stuff, I thought it was really important in a mystery game to be able to do that. And I think with a game where you're asking people questions, it's fun to have to come up with the questions by kind of paying attention to what they've already said. And there are a lot of text parser responses that are currently in the demo that you can get from characters if you are paying attention to what they're saying. And it will give you more background into the story. But I wanted to make sure that I wouldn't make it so that I didn't want the player to be stuck and have to ask the perfect question in order to progress through the game. So if you need to ask them a specific question to progress through the game, I actually will say explicitly, ask this person about this thing in the notebook. And there's a notebook feature which we'll get into, but yeah, I didn't want it to be a guessing game. I wanted the asking characters about questions. I wanted that to be a reward, and to reward people with more information, and not have it be like a punishment for not asking them the right stuff. Have you heard of an EGA for loom, but a loom for EGA? Very good, deluxe tux. Yeah, I've got a bead loom, and I really wanted to get the right colors for EGA, and I did get them, but I just haven't. I have a little bead loom too, and I just haven't got around to it. Okay. So we can ask Jack about tutorial, and I'll get into the keyboard shortcuts when we actually get into the demo. Ooh, it's 9:50 already. I guess I'm gonna be going late. Let's get through this quick, because I do want to show the in-game stuff really quick before the hour is over, but I probably will stick around a little bit and just show you some of the other stuff I was telling you guys about. So here's another thing. The movement in the game is kind of a thing. So this point and click, obviously, this is the only way that this game really is a point and click game. So I kind of feel a bit strange calling it a point and click adventure game, because this is the only way you can point and click in this game. You can use the arrow keys to move Nancy around. And right now I'm doing a pressing and holding the arrow keys to move her around, because when I showed this game the first time, I had it being the standard Sierra adventure game kind of control, where you tap one of the arrow keys once. So if I tap the right hand arrow key, she would start moving, and she wouldn't stop moving unless you tap the arrow key one more time. But of course, no one is familiar with that control scheme anymore, really. So now the default is pressing and holding to move her, which is what most games are like. Although, I did have it be an option. So if you want to play it Sierra style, tapping to move, you can. So if you do that, I press this once and she moves. I press it again and she stops moving. So it is there, but the default is press and hold because, yeah, that's what the modern gamer expects. Yeah, Togomario, yeah, it's yeah, I don't want people to ever wonder or be stressed out about what if I don't ask the right question. Because I feel like that in real life sometimes, so I don't want to make that like a recreational game thing at all. So let's ask about, well, we can ask Jack, we can ask about inventory, because he's the only one here. There is an inventory, graphical inventory. So what we have here, I'm just going to go through these really quickly. Yeah, so what I have here is this traditional eyeball, where you can take a look at stuff, and it would give you a cursory glance at that stuff. But also you've got a mineralogist loop, which will give you a closer look at the stuff that you have in your inventory if that thing benefits from closer examination. And so that's what that is. Okay, next, ask about notebook. So this is the notebook feature I was mentioning. So what this is a lot of adventure games nowadays have a feature like this. I'm thinking particularly of Thimbleweed Park. But so what this is saying is it gives you exactly explicitly what you need to do to progress through the game, so to get to the next stage of the game in the story. But if you don't do that, you can feel free to ask people any questions, wander around, explore at your leisure, and not be concerned about accidentally progressing in the game. And that was kind of a problem in the Colonel's Bequest and in the second Laura Bow game, the Dagger of Amon-Ra. You could actually stumble in on a conversation, and then accidentally progress the game. And I didn't want that to be something in the Crimson Diamond. So the notebook is there to tell you what you need to do next, but don't feel like you should do that immediately. Definitely take a look around the lodge, because there'll be conversations you'll miss and other little details that will tell you more about what's going on. This is just another way that I wanted to reward people for exploration, but not punish them if they don't want to do it. Okay. So while we only, I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but I'm going to just, well, you know what? We're so close, we might as well. So we're going to take the hat. Oh, well, take hat. I'm just going to skip over a few steps here, because I do want to get to gameplay before the hour is done. And yeah, so we now have a hat. We can look closer at the hat. And now that we have the hat, we're just going to leave the tutorial. Open door. Okay, just leave. Okay. So if you click new game, so here's what I mean about the intro art is very rough right now. You can see I'm going to be redoing all this stuff, and I'm not going to play you guys the whole intro. Yeah, exactly, Sullen Spud. Knowing the critical path explicitly is helpful, because then you feel like, yeah, I can just do whatever I want, wander around, and, you know, so a lot of these sounds have been added. I don't think these are in the demo. And I did put some Easter eggs in. Yeah, so this is process of this piece, but I will be upgrading that piece, like I showed you guys. Yeah, so there will be. So right now, a lot of the I'm just gonna buzz through this right now while I'm talking, but a lot of the cupboards and drawers right now in the lodge are empty. But I'm hoping after I kind of finish most of the game, I'll be able to fill those things in with more detail, like and like objects and stuff that will tell you more about the setting and about the characters that live there, for sure. So you can see, yeah, this is very rough. This is very rough placeholder stuff. Yeah, so I'm gonna just skip over this. This is the first thing, this is the first piece of gameplay for the character when you actually get to assume control. And I actually also added in some of the tutorial stuff into the very beginning of the game for people who haven't, who decided they wanted to skip the tutorial. So yeah, this tells you about movement, how to do that, and talking to the characters. That's what you need to do before dinner time. And then here's a notebook. And yeah, Nancy's saying, I should amuse myself, I should wander around, maybe time will pass faster if I talk to people, etc. And so that's it. So we have here, we can type look, and we can get a fairly detailed description. Oh, Mousemas, I'm glad you like the chapter opening. Yeah, of course, the jaunty piano tune that we just heard was another Dan Polakar original. And so we have Kimmy. You look at Kimmy, it tells you who Kimmy is and what she's like. But yeah, let us take a look. So here, I'm actually going to just go through some of these tutorial windows that are in the game. So this is the first time you enter this area, then you'll get this tutorial screen. And this one here talks about the parser shortcuts we were talking about earlier. Just a way to expedite some of that typing, to simplify the typing. So for instance, OD means open door. C space D would mean closed door. And there are more of those as well. So here's a list of some of them. You can ask people stuff, but you can ask is A, about is AB, and then lodge, whatever you want for that last part. You'd ask about lodge, ask about whatever. People's names are also abbreviated if you want to ask people things. So I'll demonstrate that really quickly. And looking at, examining, all these things have shortcuts, just to shorten it up a little bit. Yeah, a lot of cupboards and drawers, etc. So why don't we use some of those? So I go OD, opens the door. This is the room that you might have recognized from the slide presentation. And another one of the earlier, here's the boudoir, one of the earlier screens I did. So let's see. I actually don't know the shortcut for this. TMM? Yes. Yeah, it does take time programming in the commands. There's probably more efficient ways to do it, but because I'm sort of like a novice programmer, I've done it the least efficient way probably. But yeah, so here is an example of me as the game developer saying, hey, or the designer saying, you might have skipped the introductory sequence, so you might not know anything about what's going on, but I'm going to make you learn, because I'm going to make you introduce yourself to everyone, and you're going to find out who you are. So here you are, you're Nancy Maple. And here's Margot, and she's a French-Canadian lady. She's very hospitable. I'm only here tonight, unfortunately. I was sent here by the Royal Canadian Museum on assignment, but Jack says I'm due to leave on the train tomorrow, according to Mr. Richard's wishes. And so there she is, and you get a beautiful chime, also designed by Dan. And she says, Crimson Lodge is a lovely place. I was a city girl for a time, but those days are behind me. So we can ask about city. And she'll tell you about, you can ask about Crimson. So why don't we ask about Crimson? And if you press spacebar, it gives you the last parse you entered. So I can ask about Crimson. And yeah, you can continue that. So these, there are keywords in these text boxes, if you're reading them, that you can actually start asking people quite a lot, actually. You can even ask her about her parents. Yes, you feel accomplished, Togomario? That is the exact effect we wanted. You can maybe ask about, we she talked about Evan, we can ask about Evan. And yeah, so this is a way that you're getting more information, but this isn't necessary to do. But if we look here, we talked to Margot. In fact, there's a glitch here, because there should be a list of who to talk to on this. Which usually, on the demo it is there. I think I forgot to turn it on for my own working version. But yeah, so here we are. And there's a bunch of different rooms to explore. There's even like a nice mirror effect going on here that Francisco Gonzalez helped me with. It's even in here too. But yeah, so we talked to Margot. And this is an example of one of those posters I was telling you about. This poster here that I'm looking at, that Nancy's looking at, is a Henri Toulouse-Lautrec Art Nouveau poster. It's a very pretty famous one, and I really loved kind of simplifying them into very, very small pixel art. Oh, good. I'm glad you like this kind of system for the parser, Sullen Spud. Yeah, I really enjoy just adding those little details in writing. But yeah, like I said, I want people to enjoy it at whatever depth they want. So if you just want to buzz through the game and just go and follow the notebook prompts, you can totally do that. But of course, the more you understand about what is happening, the the ending possibly will be affected by that. Yeah, it's there's a ton of time writing. There's not even dialogue branches per se. It's all just if you ask about city, then there'll be a response. If you ask about this, so it doesn't even branch. It always is from one point of origin. Yes, it's this tells you about the main menu, which we already looked at, speed, all that stuff. And what do we have in here? I don't think there's anyone in here. Yes, so a bunch of different rooms. there's a lot of bedrooms because it's Crimson Lodge. It used to be a hotel in this city, in this town. And so there are a lot of they actually need to be here too for the other characters, because including Nancy, there's like 9 characters in this game, and most of them sleep here at night. So when time elapses and it gets later into the night, you'll see people tucked into their beds and stuff. So it's kind of I needed all these bedrooms to fit everybody. Yeah, Deluxe Touch, you can ask people about their parents, some of them. So I don't know, I don't think Albert wants to talk to us right now, but we need to just get that. Talk man even works. Or T-man, I suppose, would work. So you ask him. So these are characters, actually, if you watch the intro, you would have met him in the intro. But you don't, it doesn't really matter if you don't do that. But another thing I added in the game is this newspaper. So you start with this newspaper. And what it is, actually, is you can actually read this newspaper to get a synopsis. And so it'll tell you very brief, how a few months ago, Doug Bowe caught a lake herring in the northern wilderness near Crimson, Ontario. He found a huge diamond in its belly, and now a bunch of prospectors have rushed to the town to look for more diamonds. That's a really short version of the whole intro section. So if anyone thinks to read the newspaper, then they'll actually get the story again. I try to introduce the story in a bunch of different ways to hopefully one of these ways people will actually get. And this talks about Canadian government has dispatched an expert mineralogist from Antwerp, Belgium to investigate, and this is Albert. Crimson, Ontario, yep. Home to thriving garnet mines, has been a ghost town for decades. What a boon this could be. Just hold on, my mom just texted me. I just have to tell her that I'm streaming. Give me 1 second. I'm streaming right now. Sorry I didn't text earlier. Good night. Okay. Okay. Great. Hi, Mom. Yeah, everyone says hi to my mom. That's nice. Okay. So I don't think we can even ask Albert anything, really. I don't think he wants to talk at all. He's just, yeah, he's too busy right now, so that's fine. We do get it noted down in the notebook that happens. What else? So, great. And so here's an example of one of the things that you can do in the lodge. You can listen to what people are saying. And this is a kind of a fun way to learn more about what people actually think. And this piece is another example of a Dan Pollicar original melody, song, whatever, track. And yeah, you get to hear what people really think about things sometimes. There was eavesdropping in both the Criminal's Bequest and Dagger of Amon Ra, and I definitely wanted to keep that, but I wanted to mix up how that eavesdropping happens. So sometimes, you know, you're going to be lurking outside of a doorway. Sometimes it's a little bit more elaborate. And I don't know, maybe I will probably show one of those actually tonight. Because it looks like, yeah, we're at 10:04 right now. So I mean, thank you guys for coming. I'm still going to play through some of this because I know that it's still kind of broadcast. It's just not the main broadcast. I'll just be on a sidebar for people. So we can do that. Here's more people. We can look. See a stern older woman. So this is a touch that Francisco advised me on. He gave me some feedback. So Francisco Gonzalez of Rosewater, also in the Big Adventure event. He was also streaming before, and Rosewater looks amazing. He said, okay, well, when you look in this room and you see this woman, you actually don't know this woman yet. You haven't been introduced to her, so it shouldn't say her name yet. So I put, you see a stern older woman with gray streaking her brown hair, and a tall, natty man. So if you talk to a woman, you introduce yourself to her, and she says what her name is, etc. But if you look now, it'll say Nessa is here, because now you know what her name is. Can you get caught listening in? Sullen Spud wants to know. Actually, no, you can't. Actually, I don't think I've designed anything like that yet. Yes, the armoire in Colonel's Bequest. It's a bit tricky, and you can actually probably go through that entire game without listening to any of the secret conversations. Let's talk to Man. Yeah, I'm not gonna read through all this, of course. We're just gonna. I wanted to show you guys some cool stuff. But maybe I'll take you at least to the dining room scene, because then we can hear the third of Dan's tracks that is currently in the demo. So why don't we just... So this is what I mean. So you can't leave the lodge in the demo, but we will be leaving the lodge when I'm playing tonight. Okay. Here's another conversation. So you go in and they're not really talking, but if you go and you listen, this is another conversation you can have. But yeah, so all this is, just, and the game does have autosave actually. And I do have to implement that better, but it is there as a feature. So if we go to load, you'll see we have, oh yeah, Nessa and Corvus, it did save that first time after their conversation, then Nathan and Evan as well. So another quality of life feature is autosave. But yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of other rooms too that'll figure into it. We can't leave yet, of course, because it's nighttime, and it is the demo. So here we go. Who else haven't I talked to? I didn't talk to Kimmy. Wow. Who else haven't I talked to? Am I that bad at playing my own game? Okay. Okay, whatever. It's fine. I'm missing people. Uh-oh. Where'd I go? Oh yeah, I didn't talk to them in the conservatory, that's right. Oh my goodness. Okay. Yeah, after the dining room scene, I'm going to show you another way to listen in on a conversation that's not just lurking outside of a door. And then after that, I'll take you guys outside the lodge. So, let's talk. See, if you talk just people, it'll talk to everyone in the room. That's one of the helper things. So here you get the same. You can ask. And even if you let's say you ask, oh yeah, so Jack calls supper, it's time to head to the dining room, so you know to head to dining room. Yep. And now the notebook will say go to dining room, in case you forget while you're wandering around and exploring. But yeah, you can ask about parents. If you just ask about parents, and yeah, Evan will talk about his ma and pa, that kind of thing. More background, etc. And then, Nathan will talk about his parents as well. Yeah. So, there's some parses that you might be surprised if you do get into be more inquisitive. So let's head in and listen to the beautiful waltz that Dan has composed. Oh, where is it? Oh, there it is. It's just really low. Yeah, exactly, Togomaro. Sometimes you save like a Sierra game file and come back after months and have no idea where you left off. Yeah, I wanted that to be... That's the thing about these types of games, is if you come back to them, sometimes you have no idea what you need to do next. And it's not like an arcade game where you're just like, okay, well, I was level 5, so I need to continue with that level 5. Sometimes if you just don't know what's required, it's kind of discouraging. And so I didn't want that to be the case. So this is, they're talking more about the background and the story of what we're going to expect. And I'm just going to skip over that. Lovely meal. So if you listen to the conversation that Nathan and Evan had in the conservatory, they mentioned they're going to have a private conversation after dinner. So we're going to take a look at what that looks like. And another thing about it that I mentioned is, the characters will move around. So right now these guys are in the bar area. So every stage of the game I tried to make people be in different places for different reasons. Right now, Kimmy is in bed reading. So that's kind of, I did kind of, oh, who else is around? We also have Margot. Talk to Margot. So she's there, she's about to take a bath. Right. So there she is, because she mentioned she was going to take a bath after supper. I always try to, in the text, set up, if you're reading it, then you kind of know where to expect some people. So I think I might have said Margot ate a bit of supper and then went up to have a bath. So you would know that you could maybe expect to see her in the ensuite. But yeah, so let's go in. Scandalous. It's a pretty tame game. It doesn't get very racy at all. because these games didn't really, and the genre of a cozy mystery tend not to get too racy either. Hey, Jarvisi. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you like it. I'm glad you think it looks cool. And it is very King's Quest inspired. I actually, when I was playing these games back when I was a kid, I actually liked playing The Secret of Monkey Island, Day of the Tentacle. I actually liked those games more in terms of gameplay because you couldn't die. Oh, speaking of death, maybe I should show some deaths in this game. There's only 3. But I like them because they're game design because you couldn't get into unwinnable states and you couldn't really die. So I actually enjoyed playing the LucasArts games more. But because of the EGA graphics, I liked the aesthetic, the style of kind of more real. It's not really realistic, but kind of more realistic look to the graphics. Like I do like the cartoony and zanier look too, but The Secret of Monkey Island was more natural looking even than than Day of the Tentacle, for instance. Although I do love Day of the Tentacle, it just for me when I do my own art, I tend to be more like realistic looking, for lack of a better word. But here's an example. So there's a couple ways to listen in on this conversation, and I kind of wanted to give that as well because people will approach things from different ways. So if I design it to be you to be able to do it in a couple different ways, then more chances that people will find it. So with this conversation, what you can actually do is if you clear the dishes in the dining room here, Nathan and Evan will take that as a cue to get up and leave, and then they'll go to the study. You go to then you can listen in to this conversation at this doorway if you get a special item. Monkey Island seems like one huge unwinnable state, especially part 2. Yeah, Dig Full Throttle Monkey Island games. Yeah, I actually never played Full Throttle. I do have the special edition Full Throttle. I haven't got around to it yet. Yeah, getting stuff for days was not unusual as a kid in these games for sure. I actually have the Monkey Island 1 hint book. Okay, so you can wait. You can clear the dishes at the dining room and then have them go into the study and then listen to the conversation. Or you can do this fun thing that I kind of stole from Dagger of Amon-Ra, which is hiding behind the tapestry. Now that musical sting was not designed by Dan. I'm sure he will replace it with something better. Oh yes, they wanted you to call the hint line. Yes, I'm sure that's part of it. But yeah, so they're they have a secret conversation here where you can listen to it this way, you can listen to it at the door. I'm just gonna skip over it so that you can play this yourself if you want. Oh, I love Dagger of Amon-Ra. I love the art direction. I love the Egyptian theme. I love the Art Deco of it. It's a gorgeous game. The portraits are very Art Deco inspired. But yeah, I love both of them for different reasons. But so now it's a bit later in the night, actually. So now 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 Evan's here and he's having a drink. People do tend to move around in the game. So I'm not going to listen to this conversation. You guys can do that later. Oh, these guys are all still here. But what does the notebook say? Help Jack with the dishes. Oh yeah, so this is what you need to do to progress the game. But let's see. I wonder if Margot's in the bath. She was drawing the bath. Is she actually in there now? Yeah, there she is. So this is something you could easily miss. And this is not necessary to see, obviously, but it's just something fun I wanted to put in because indication of time having passed. Oh yes, the Egyptian theme. Yeah, one of the reasons you started learning Middle Egyptian and hieroglyphics. I gotta say, so when I went to Adventure X in 2019, I went to the British Museum and I saw the Rosetta Stone. And I would be lying if I said that being thrilled by it was, partly, I can't say that it was not due to the Dagger of Amon-Ra being that thrilled with seeing it. It was really cool to see. And it would have been cool anyway, but I don't know, having it connected like that. Yeah, Margot's chill. Margot's pretty chill. Oh yeah, Kimmy's still reading, so that hasn't changed. But yeah, I mean, it's just little rewards for kind of wandering around. But yeah, why don't we just help Jack with the dishes? Oh yeah, I forgot. I was going to show you guys how you can die. And then after that, I'll take you outside. We'll go out and have a breath of fresh air. But first some death. So first death. First death is, I didn't make them easy. I made you have to work for them because for me as a kid, it was very scary to die suddenly. So let's have a drink. Oh, let's toast because toasting will do something else. To adventure, to mystery, long live text parsers and EGA. We can all toast to that. I'll toast to that. Oh, and I don't think that adds to her drink count. So why don't we have a drink? Okay, so we have a bit of drink. Oh, that is pretty strong, after all. Yeah, you probably had your limit. I really ought to stop. So yeah, you don't need to do these, but So that's the first way. I think there's only 2 in the demo because the third one's outside, which I will show you. But let's see that second one. Let's see that second one. Oop. Okay, so, oh yeah, there's a. Now Jack did mention that if you do want to take a shower, and in that intro sequence, if you want to take a shower, you can take a shower if you want. So yeah, so why don't we remove? This is all very safe for work. Don't worry. There's nothing. You won't see anything. You're glad I didn't add motion blur to the drink. So this is Nancy in her towel, and yes, I made it so that you can't leave this room. Nancy's sense of propriety will not allow her to leave. And even if that door is open, she still won't do it. So don't even try. I'm pretty sure anyway. But yeah, so here she is in the towel. Made a whole walking sprite just for the towel. Although I won't let you wash your hands right now. You can usually wash your hands in this game because I just wanted to have that detail. But if you try to wash your hands when you've got the towel on, she won't because she's using one hand to hold the towel up. Oh, Mousimus, I'm glad you're saying the game's packed with cool things. Considering you're like a regular on the streams, so I always figure people who've seen a lot of the streams will have seen everything. So the idea that when you're watching this, there's some stuff you haven't seen, or that are surprising potentially. I'm really glad. So why don't we turn on water? We turn on shower. You can actually say turn on shower. I think I tried to make it easier. All right. Yeah, the level of detail. I'm kind of glad when I started this game I approached it as the sound effects are really loud. Okay, I'm glad I approached it as a hobby project at first because I was not concerned about being efficient at all. This was just something like I would come to and work on a little bit, tinker with it, and then leave it for months at a time and then come back to it. But that really benefited the development because I would do all this weird stuff in it that I would be like, yeah, I want her to be able to wash her hands and pick up the soap and lather up and rinse and then take the towel. That has nothing to do with gameplay, and I don't know if I would have done it had I just been developing this from the ground up as a game. But because it was just my cute little hobby project, I added all this fun stuff that to me was not a waste of time or an inefficiency. It was just me having fun. Oh wow, the Deluxe Tux, you've seen at least a dozen new things tonight? Okay, I'm really happy about that. Because yeah, you're another regular that I would have figured you'd have seen everything in this game. So let's get in tub. I'm really, really, really glad to hear you say that. So this, of course, not only is it a psycho tribute, but this is something that you can experience in the Colonel's Bequest if you so desire. Mine takes more steps. You really have to, like I said, you have to earn the deaths in this game. Ooh, I don't know why that's happening again. Yeah, you really have to earn the deaths in this game. And people are happy to, it seems. Yes, Ellen Spud, it's adding those fun little things. Yeah, I mean, there's some stuff like, so these actual drawers I actually open these actually do have stuff in them, and you can look in these cupboards. Chafing dish and serving platters. You can't take this stuff, you can try. Yeah. So I try to, add fun things here and there, just fun detail stuff, and I figure I'll put more of that in there as I go. It's funny actually to watch people play this, because most people, when they play this type of game, they'll just open everything and just leave it open. There's two different kinds of people, really. People who open everything and just leave everything open, like it's just in complete disarray. And some people close things nicely after they've been through things. So we have here in this cupboard the infamous blue mug, which is the kind of the mascot of Adventure Game Studio. Cronodin asks the pertinent question, can you lock the door first? And indeed you can lock the door first. And that's your life-saving technique. But yes, very good. You can have a shower and live to tell the tale. Here we have the blue mug. If you look at the underscore, if you use the loop on the mug, it says AG Studio, AGS by Chris Jones, model 3.3.5.7, which is the version of AGS that I'm using. It's an old version. For a yellow scarf Easter egg. Yeah, so Nancy's got, I tried to make her pretty distinctive. She's pretty red, yellow, and blue are pretty primary colors. I like having that bit of yellow. Yeah, Deluxe Tux. You can take the blue. I'm surprised you didn't know you could take the blue mug. Okay, anyway. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to load up one of the save games. We're going to go outside. And I figure, why don't we go outside at the daytime first, and then I'll show you guys what it looks like at night as a contrast. Yeah, sometimes you can live without locking. You can live after a shower without locking anything. So here we have the outside. So everything here. So this river will prevent you from going any further. There's a bridge here, but Nancy's own sense of duty is preventing her from leaving. And that's about, and here's a jetty here, and this beautiful cliffside, or this waterfall. And this might be a good time to demonstrate the third death in the game. And then from there, I will take you guys on a tour of the outbuildings and their interiors, which I haven't actually shown all of in any of the streams yet. So she does say, ooh, I'd better be careful and not stray too close to the raging river. And I don't do puns very much, but I will do a pun in this instance. And there are a few water puns. You do get a warning, exactly. You do get a warning. So I think that's fair, Oops, load, not load that one. Load this one. I'll treat you to one more water pun, and then we will continue with the tour of the outside. Yeah, you get a warning for the drinking death. You get some warning where you probably should stop. You get a warning for falling into the water. You probably should stop. You don't necessarily get a warning for the shower death, but you really have to work for it. Ooh, I'd better be careful and not stray too close to the edge of the jetty. You would have expected to see Nancy walking into the land of the dead from KQ6. Wouldn't that be something? You weren't ready for this jetty. Even I can't resist a pun sometimes. Next. Okay, so why don't we take a look at some of these buildings? We have this beautiful boathouse, which, you can visit. You can get kind of this cutout look. Oh, you know what? Oh, no. This is a version that is not working right. This is fixed now, but it's not working right now. So I just crashed it. Although, ooh, yeah, I did totally crash it. Crashed my own game on stream. And I don't, yeah, that's fixed. Well, we're gonna have to restart. Oops. Okay. Back at it. So we've seen that. That's fine. You can also fall into the river, the waterfall here, but I don't think it's anything particularly original. But yeah, here's another. Oh no! Gosh darn it! I can't show that one. That triggers something. You were not supposed to see that. Shh! Don't tell anybody. Okay, so I can't go to that screen. Okay. I should have. I didn't save after that scene. I didn't. Interesting. Okay. Well, we can't go there. We won't go there. Oops. Okay, yeah. Okay. So yeah, this is just that there and there. Okay. So here's the smokehouse. And it's not very big. It's got just a bunch of meat and stuff. You can look. Smoked meat and fish, which I guess would be a place you would have on, you know, in this era, potentially. Maybe have a tribute that shows the assembly line putting together another Nancy. The Cliffs with Birds actually is not a Quest for Glory throwback. I know what you mean with the It actually isn't. It just was because I wanted to show part of the Canadian Shield, which is a big rock formation that's underneath a lot of Canada. A big old rock formation. Okay. Oh yeah, so here's the orchard. Here is the garden. Or the garden and the garden shed. Oops. Okay. But let's go into the shed. So here's a shed with a bunch of stuff in it. Yep. I think you can pump water. Can you pump water in this version? I can't remember. Pump water. Okay, yes you can. Great. Okay, yes. Yes you can. Where else can you go? Oh, there is... Oh, the spitting plants. Okay, that's right. No, yeah, it wasn't one. At least it wasn't consciously one. Oh no, I did it again. No. Stop it. I can't go there. So, you know what? We're going to go to the nighttime version of it. Because that won't happen in the nighttime version. Okay. So here is an example of, yeah, there's two phases to the game. There's nighttime and daytime. And the game happens over 3 nights, I think. 3 nights. But the thing is the first night is the demo. And you're not allowed to leave you're not allowed to leave the lodge in that section. So I don't know if that counts as the first night. So this is another one of the nights. And I had a lot of fun trying to decide what the nighttime would actually look like in the game. So yeah, I mean, a lot of these screens are just kind of recolored. And yeah, the water got redone. So let's do a quick tour. I don't think anything should happen. Oh my goodness. I don't think anything should happen unexpected. If it does, I will do another shutdown. And we'll start again. But yeah. Here are the grounds. And this actual screenshot and the other view of the house are postcards that I've made that I will maybe show in a bit. Okay, next. Oh yeah, here is the carriage house. Back when, you know, horse-drawn carriages were a thing. So here's the carriage. You see this automobile in the intro sequence too? Yes, the mouse miss, exactly. Night critters would be nice. And we've been collecting some Roland MT32 like critter noises, so we do want to add those things for sure. But yeah, you can climb up this ladder if you want. Mouse miss, of course. Yeah, so you can climb up, you can walk around this. You can't fall off. Maybe I'll let you at some point, but you can't. All right, and then why don't we go to, here's a gazebo, nice little gazebo. Something else that I wanted to do in the game is, can I show that? I should be able to show that. So the daytime and nighttime is reflected in the windows. So at nighttime, the light coming in through the exterior door is oh, we can't listen to that conversation. the light coming in through the windows and stuff is darker in at night, so it kind of does give you a bit of an indication. You know, like for instance, this powder room, it's nighttime outside, and you can see like the moonlight coming in on the tile. And if we go to that same room in the daytime, even though it's still an interior shot, which let me just get in there real quick. You can see even in this shot, the exterior is brighter outside. So it kind of even gives you an indication in most of the rooms, at least the ones. Oh, and I just crashed the game again because I'm trying to do stuff you're not supposed to do, so I keep breaking stuff. Hopefully the actual release will be more stable. Right. But let's try to warp to a different room. No, that's not going to work. I just want to show. Let me show the stuff. Why? I should be able to show it here. So for instance, something like this room, it looks very different. This is the most dramatic difference between day and night is in this room because it has the most windows. But even the other rooms have that. Can I just not be in daytime? That's annoying. Yeah, I don't even know about how to track 100% completion on Steam with this. I don't even know how to implement those things. That's something I'm going to have to look at. Because I would like to have a few Steam achievements. I don't have the first idea on how to do them. Okay, so it's 10:32 right now. What can I do? Oh yeah, I was going to show potentially some of the other fun stuff. So why don't we just take, I'm going to go until maybe 10:45. And we're going to quit out of this. We'll stop watching me break my own game. And why don't we, oh yeah. And I'm just going to show some of the other fun stuff that I happen to have here. So the view of the lodge is, I made postcards. So when I go to events, I like to have these promo postcards printed. So there it is. So when in-person events are a thing, yeah. Well, actually, I'm giving out these ones mostly now because these ones are kind of not all gone, but I don't have as many left. As well, I do. Oop! I don't want to exit. I do Christmas cards. Oop! For Patreon. So I have a Patreon. And the $5 patrons get a Christmas card every year. And I will show that. In fact, I'm going to just go for 1 second. I'm going to pull them out. Okay. So first year, for the patrons, I think they got this one. Holiday card. Second year was this one. Oh, I'm glad you got the postcard. Togo Mario. Third year, so this was the most recent year. Where'd it go? The most recent year is, I have him here. Here. And so yeah, $5 patrons, if they want, they can always of course opt out or not, not provide a mailing address. They'll get this mailed to them, and they get first eyes on the artwork too. I actually didn't share what the artwork looked like until mid-January because that's the one thing that they get that no one else gets. So I always try to make it so they get to see it first. But yeah, okay. So let's see. I think that about covers it. Why don't I just put the game back on so there is something to see. And then yeah, we'll just talk it out for another 10 minutes, and then I'm probably gonna shut this down. This is really cool. I'm glad it kind of worked fairly seamlessly. Because last time I kind of did a stream like this, it was a bit. Oh, you know what? I wasn't even the right thing. It's this one. Okay. Yep. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can quickly show you guys for another 10. For some reason, I just like having nice round numbers. Oh no. Sorry, stuff is falling over. Is there anything else fun I can show you guys that you could try yourself in the demo? Oh yeah, there's a fun thing right in this very room, actually. So it mentions here, if you look at Kimmy, it says she's writing in her sketchbook with a pen. And so you see her, she's kind of doing that little animation. Now if you look at sketchbook, you glance at it, and she says she's embarrassed to look at them, and she closes up the sketchbook and she stops writing in it. And she won't start again until you move away. So that was a fun thing I've added in there too, that I don't know, maybe people who've played the demo or watched me stream it didn't know about potentially. If you ask about sketchbook, oh, you have to talk to her. Talk, people. Okay, so why don't we ask, right. Oh, she just says it's a hobby of hers, and she doesn't want to show you her drawings. It's too embarrassing. We can ask Kimmy about her parents. We can ask A-B parents. So Kimmy was born in Vancouver, British Columbia, and this character is kind of inspired by my own heritage. So what does she say? Her parents immigrated from Japan, have a farm in Vancouver where they grow flowers in a little flower shop, and she's proud of them. Yeah, so Kimmy is kind of a nod to my family, my father's side of the family. My grandmother was born in Canada in 1913, I believe. And her mother emigrated to Canada when she was pretty young. Like, I think she was 18 or 19 or something. She got married in 1912 or so. And so my family kind of has this long history in Canada, and a lot of immigrants from Japan came over in sort of that period of time, like sort of late 1800s almost. Late 1800s, early 1900s. And I kind of wanted to have a character that, yeah, she was born in Canada. She's a Canadian. And when you think about the era of 1914 in Canada, you might not think that that's the case, but actually there were quite a few, actually. And my dad's side of the family was definitely one of those families that was in Vancouver for quite a long time. And so for me, it was something cool that I wanted to incorporate into it. And because the main character is not Japanese, but there's historical reasons for that, for Nancy to have grown up as an Irish immigrant, and having grown up in sort of a rougher part of town, which of course is like Bay and Bloor, which is like the nicest part of town now in Toronto. But I kind of wanted a character that did reflect, what the reality of that time was. And so for me, that's what Kimmy is. Other characters that kind of have a story, if you do want to ask them about, of course, well, they all kind of do. But, Evan, let's go. Why don't we ask Evan about his life? Let's ask Evan. We can ask him about Nessa, actually. So Nessa is his older sister. Oh, another fun thing you can do in the game is you can sit in just about all the rooms that have chairs. And that's another example of me just wanting to do something to do it. But why don't we have a seat, and why don't we ask Evan about Nessa? Oh, we have to talk to him, of course, because this is the start of the game. Okay. Ask Evan about Nessa. His older sister, so they emigrated from London, I believe. I said. Not London, Ontario. And so they came to Crimson, Ontario as kind of settlers, and it was a hard life, and she was not born in Crimson. And so she's kind of resentful of the change of her lifestyle that happened when her parents brought her to this rough, rustic area. And Evan was born in Crimson, so for him this is his home, and that's what he really identifies with, and that's why he doesn't resent it. I mean, he really loves the area, and that's kind of why he stuck around all these years. Oh, they all have opinions about birds, the Deluxe Tux? I did not know that. Let's ask about birds. Let's ask everyone about birds. Oh, okay, sure. Yeah, so flocks of cormorants in these parts, they like the fish in the lake, and so does Evan. Yeah, Togomar, you say that the Ultima games were also designed for functionality. Yeah, Ultima 6 was really kind of cool about that. Yeah, Richard Garrett wanted stuff to be functional. And Nat says they don't prey on the same fish that fishermen seek. That is a misconception. So yeah, I guess everyone has has their own point of view about birds, which I don't remember even doing that. A lot of the game is stuff that I don't remember doing. Does anyone in here? Oh yeah, you know what? Let's load after we've talked to everyone. Okay. Oh, I can show you how you can clear the dishes, I guess. Because that's the other way to listen to this conversation. Clear dishes. Yes, you told me something I forgot that I did, the Deluxe Tux. Okay, so you clear the dishes. Now they are in the study. Right, what are they talking about? If you can try to listen, muffled voices. If you open this door, actually let's save it. If you open this door, they will kind of cut that conversation short and they'll just leave. So you'll miss it if you just try to do that. Because this door doesn't lock. Only the bathroom doors lock in the lodge. So, how to get there? There is something you can use to listen at doors. And if anyone's played the Dagger of Amon-Ra, you might know about that. There's a glass here in this cupboard. Spotless, very spotless. You can actually listen at this doorway. And so they'll have that conversation that we listened to initially behind the tapestry, but you can listen to it like this too. Anyway, yeah. So let's see. That's about wrapping it up. I'm just going to take the next couple minutes to wind down. But okay, great. Okay, so I think for me that's going to call it for the Big Adventure event. I'm really happy that I got to be in it, because looking at all the other games, and I encourage you guys to check out the other streams that are happening, because there are so many awesome projects from all over the world that are telling all kinds of great stories, and I feel like it was a really cool thing to be able to do. But yeah, if you're interested in the Crimson Diamond, I do a Crimson Gazette every month where you can actually sign up to get that in your email box. I do a little e-newsletter where I give dev updates and I show crafts and I give rock facts and stuff like that. Of course, yeah, I mentioned before, I stream on Twitch, _MapleMystery on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And what else? Yeah, on the website, thecrimsondiamond.com, you'll find all that. And I'm hoping to launch this game late this year. Late this year. We're gonna hope that happens. And it's gonna take quite a bit of work on my part, but we're gonna try to get there. Oh, thank you, The Heavy. I'm glad you liked the stream. Your first time watching the stream. That makes me happy to know that that you enjoyed it. So thank you, and thank you for everyone. Thank you for the familiar faces too. Thank you for people who've never watched me do a stream. It's really cool to get to meet new people online. The current situation that we're all in right now was the reason why Dan and I started streaming in the first place, and it's been a really positive experience. So thank you guys all for being a part of that, and enjoy the rest of the Big Adventure event. There is so much cool stuff that's happening right now, and I totally invite you to take a look at that other stuff. Thank you so much for coming. This was a lot of fun. Good night.